Hello. I got a beautiful comment from a young man, and I am so happy. He said, "You are my favorite YouTuber." I think that's what he said. That tells me that my videos are important to people. When I put a tag on my videos, I usually write the word dad, father, not father, but I use the word husband, man, children, because in Samoa, Margaret Mead, in her book Coming of Age in Samoa, which I did read back when I had those kids in my 20s, and that book, she mentioned how children became adults without any problems, without being teenagers, without the teenagers in the Western world or United States. And I remember a housekeeper in Honduras. She was 12 years old. She lived with my relatives. No, she was about 14. And I said, "You know how to cook rice?" And she said, "Yes." Now, I still don't know how to cook rice. I'm 40. But I grew up where the lady I grew up with, she used to say, "Don't touch my pots and pans." She probably did it so I wouldn't burn myself. However, to this day, I don't go in that kitchen. When I lived alone, I did, but everything that's there is somehow I'm not supposed to touch it. So I was very happy. This young lady in Honduras, she became a housekeeper at only probably 14 years old. And what was special about her was that she knew how to cook. And she saw herself as a grown-up, not as a child. All right. This is a book I liked. Are You My Mother? By P.D. Eastman. So I like it because sometimes you don't get attached to the person that's responsible for you. Because my memories, I met my mom when I was 7. Now, I did have some earlier memories of her, but there's the bonding. The first memory I have of my dad was him pinching me because he was in bed and didn't want me to be there, and I was 4 years old. And before that, pinching me, I remember him slapping my mother around. But before that, I remember, what was it? My mother telling me, "Don't open the window for him," because he was trying to get inside. So those are my memories of that man. I've had, all right, I'll tell you. I had another one when I was 11, and it was just, I saw him, he had his store, and that's it. I saw a storefront. I saw a window, right? Oh, back then they used to dress the windows, make them look attractive so people would walk into the store. After that, one time for what, 10 minutes at age 10 years old. Then at 16, I was walking on the street in Honduras, and there he was walking towards me. And I recognized him. He was always well dressed. Women loved him. However, he was a lousy dad. My mother told me that he had told her if he cannot give his children money, then he's not going to give them his time, which was a big mistake, because I cannot give my children money, or I don't, rather. I don't like the word can't. I don't give my children money. However, all I have is time for them. And then I saw him at age 25. He was married. He told me she was a doctor. The wife of the moment, you know. And then I heard about him. He went back at age 50 to Honduras from New York. And he got hit by a drunk driver while he was riding his bicycle at age 54. And in those 4 years, he left a 4-year-old son. He had married a 20-year-old girl or something. So that was his story. There are probably 12 of us, maybe more. So here's a book that I really like. It's called Single Skills, a Concentration and Comprehension Series by Walter Pauk, P-A-U-K. Sample passages from all 60 books. And what this doctor, or I think he's a doctor, Professor Walter Pauk, what he invented was basically, if you're going to read a paragraph, I'll show you the cover of the book. If you're going to read a paragraph, he says, cover with your finger the last word of that paragraph. And at the end, you get a happy moment when your brain already tells you what the last word is. Let's do an example. Is it true that blondes have more fun? An ad for hair coloring posed this question years ago. If the question had been asked in Venice, the answer would have been a definite yes. Long ago, in this Italian city, blonde hair was the height of fashion. Everyone had to have it. It wasn't a matter of simply wanting blonde hair. It was almost a requirement. Blonde hair was a symbol of wealth. Dark hair was only seen among the poor, working classes. Women from Venice spent hours dyeing their hair simply because they wanted to be in, and the options are fashion, jail, or trouble. In fashion, of course. And then it's got then it's got A, B, or C. A. Long ago in Venice, most women dyed their hair blonde. B. In Venice, dark hair on women was once a sign of poverty. C. Different hair colors have been in style at different times. But I believe that this article is mostly about A. Alright, the main idea, or is it too broad or too narrow? Because B talks about dark hair women and poverty, and C, different hair colors have been in style at different times. Well, actually, C might be a better main idea. I'm changing it to C. And the answer is somewhere in here. But anyway, the main thing that I liked about it was covering the last word. And in his book, what he did was he just left it blank. He left a line to cover it. So that's a tip for you to be able to read something and retain it. All right. So Another book that I've been reading, or haven't been reading, is, what's it say? Active Parenting by Dr. Popkin. For parents of children ages 5 to 12. Alright, that's this one. By Dr. Michael Popkin, PhD. What I liked about it is that there were a bunch of videos. And here they have change a failure cycle to a success cycle. So I got to figure out how to turn this situation around. Men only want 3 things: food, communication, and in the bedroom, right? Sex. So I've got, in fact, one old lady came from Honduras. She's probably 80 years old. She's still walking around. She said, old people in Honduras, by the way, walk around a lot longer than, my opinion, than old people in the United States. Over there, they're still strong. They're walking, taking the bus, whatever it is. So this one, she came by here and she said, Daniel, how fat you are. You don't practice Tai Chi anymore? And I wanted to answer her, yes, but that's because the spouse only gives me food and doesn't give me sex. But I didn't answer her. I kept quiet. Only because we were surrounded by a bunch of people. Oh, or I think it was because I didn't want to start an argument with the spouse who was listening. If the spouse was not listening, then who knows? Some people get angry very fast. They're called hot reactors. I'm actually called a slow reactor. I think about things before I do them. So the next tip of advice, this is why my kids are ahead of the other kids in school. When I was a custodian, I picked up all of these books that were thrown out by the teachers, right? And this is a crossword. Here's one. You gotta match the meanings. The act of daring someone, and that's the letter B. Defiance? I think they got it wrong. Infected or inflamed tonsils. Tonsillitis. That one I got. I think some of these are wrong. They were not done by my kids. I just started using this. But it had prefixes and suffixes. Can't find the page now, but I usually pick up. Here, let's do this one. This is I blank FER. I defer that you prepare the meal before you leave. No, it's not defer. I prefer. This is called prefixes. Write the prefix that fits in both blanks. I prefer that you prepare. I see. Prefer. Prepare. Alright. The police will protect the members of the protest march. Pro. Did you see her beforehand shot into the before court? No. Did you see her on hand shot? No. Pro hand shot? Pro court? Pre-miss? Skip that one. So let's find one that I can find the answer to. It is uncommon to see so many unhappy children in one class. Un means not, uncommon. So that's the type of stuff that I make my kids do. Last night, I got the spouse to read a story to the younger one, to my son. Yes, I bother people. I go over there and I say, I know you, I didn't say this, but it's time to read a bedtime story to my son, I told him. I told Grandma, then I told the spouse. Grandma already quit. She says, I'm not going to do it because I don't want you to pick the books. They were the Bible stories for kids from here. So Grandma only did it one day. Then the next day she said, I'm not going to do it. I don't want you to pick the books that I'm going to read. And I told her, you could just sit with them, talk to them for bedtime. In Honduras or in other Spanish countries, I think they tell you a story. But now in the United States, you read a story. So, and the spouse did it. I was like, wow. Because both of them were watching a TV show, probably a novela. Now, I really can't stand novelas, so I really like bothering them. But, you see, they're both very busy. Not the mother-in-law, not that one, but the spouse is very busy, and so she really wants to watch her TV and unwind. But I told her, are you or are you not going to read a story? And I don't smile, by the way. I don't smile. I just say, it's bedtime for my son. Will you please read a story to him? Now, I'm a nuisance about that one. It's almost like I'm a choir director here. I do direct them sometimes. Like when they come, I get up and I go to the garage. If I want to bother my mother, what I do is I grab something from the fridge, like an apple, I cut it up, take off the skin, and I go sit in her bed and I offer her some. You want some? And usually she'll say yes. And then sometimes we have the most beautiful moments. But after that apple is done, I get up and I go back to the garage. Because I need my space. Only for protection. It's like I need a shell, like a turtle, a cave. I go in there and they leave me alone. But I come out once in a while. Well, during the day with my mother, I want to make sure, one, that she's alive. Two, sometimes as far as like I'm very identical to my dad. He used to love reading books, but he was a narcissist, in my opinion, which means very selfish. And the other one was yelling. So even though that's the case, I still go over there because sometimes we have wonderful intellectual conversations, which I found out that you cannot have these conversations with many people because they don't want to think about anything. So when you're married and you don't live alone, they do chase away your mother, and your spouse do chase away your friends. They really do. All right, talk to you later. Be better than I am. Enjoy your life.